met a gypsy.
But I came back to the final where I beat Stefan, and I mean, it came down to the wire, to the last moto. I mean, that's the way it was. Who was world champion? The last moto
would be whoever finished
first will get it. So that was the way it was.
Which is crazy. That doesn't happen much.
No, it doesn't happen. And last year it happens with Fevre, I think. No, it happened in Allianz. But I mean, for me, we had two motos, and the first moto, I mean, Stefan was 9 points ahead, and somebody had to step between each other for me to have the possibilities of being world champion. And Pete Bauer did, and so that was like, I mean, I knew Pete for a long time, and he was the only one who was, I'm going to race the race like it's my race, and if your guys are in front, you're in front. If I'm faster than you, I'm going to beat you, and that's the end of it. And it was great because he just kept his position and raced like he was normal. So I was able to finish first, and Stefan finished third. So that made us, we had an hour basically between the two motos. And in that hour, for me, it's like I came out and getting ready for the next race. And I knew when I left my truck that I was going to be the world champion. I had no doubt in my mind that I was going to be not world champion. Everything was like, for me, it was like, it was not possible any other way. And I had no doubt. I came to the gate, and you had the paddock where you sit, and I went to Stefan, and before the start I went to him and I shake his hand and I said, "Good luck, man," and I walked away. And things that I never did ever, but I knew that I was like, for me it was not even a question, and I knew what I was going to do, and the race planned exactly the way I thought it was going to be. I knew I was going to let him get the start and start behind him and wait for 20 minutes because he had a little bit of dip at 20 minutes, and just put the hammer down and get it. And that's the way it went. And for me, it was like, at the time, I told my wife, I'm like, when I come back, I'll be world champion. And that's the way it went.
That's insane, dude. And especially to game plan to give somebody the lead. I don't think there'd be many people. I don't know that is a part of many people's game plan these days.
He just had, I had a tough season with him, and and basically I think things changed the week before we had a race in where was it? In Switzerland, actually, and it got a little bit rough between each other, and I took him out. And I think that was the thing who created a big doubt in his mind, because he was like, that guy doesn't give up. And I think that was a big difference between him and I.
Yeah.
It's like his riding style was very more settled and smooth and fast, and I was really aggressive. So I kind of changed his plan completely, and he didn't know what to expect from me. And I think that's what made the doubt in his mind, and the simple doubt makes the whole difference. And I guess I could feel it as another racer. And I think it was the same thing for me in the US when I battled with RC, because we are built the same way. And he knew I didn't back down, but I knew also that he wouldn't back down. And that's why I took chances, and that's how I got hurt. But I knew for me that was the only way to get through him, because I had basically a same image. I was battling against myself, and I knew what he was capable of doing, and I was the same. And he took chances, his worked out, mine didn't, but that's the way it was.
Yeah, I mean, you probably, as a fan that could sit there and watch every minute of those races, we're watching the same race, but from your viewpoint, you would know Stefan Everts so much better than anyone could that watched the same race, because of, I guess, the angle that you're seeing it from. So you probably knew in some ways more about him than he knew about himself.
It's true. I mean, I was, like I say, I was the only rider who was able to beat him, and and I think it was the game. It's not a game, but it's at the end of the day, it's a game. It's a mental game, and there were many games during the season. You know, Stefan came out with a single who was basically entitled "Try to Beat Me" during the season. And it was because he was, you know, Stefan Everts, and that song was a techno song, and it became very popular in Belgium. He was like number 1 or number 2 for a while.
Well, he made the song.
He made the song. It was like a techno song. Yeah. If you go online and you go the song "Try to Beat Me," you'll find it from Stefan Everts.
What?
Yes. But you know, that was a game plan, because for me, it was like, okay, directed directly at me.
As a diss track.
When I learn about it, you know, some people will be like, okay, you know, fuck, he's not even considering me. For me, it was an extra motivation to kill him.
Yeah.
You know, and then after he did the other mistake that season, he was unbeaten at a track called Fox Hill in England.
Yep. Which is a sick track, huh?
It's an awesome track. I love that track. Yeah. It's a very difficult track, but it's a great track. And he won there like 4 times in a row or something. And he declared to the press that, oh no, we should call that track Stefan's Hill. That was the thing that you shouldn't say for me. It's like, I was like making a point that I had to kill him that day. And if you look at the race in 98, we raced Fox Hill, you can see how aggressive I am on him. But for me, it was like things you cannot do. If you start to poke me, you get me directly. And, you know, he had few steps like that who were like, I think he didn't understand the way I was working. And basically, for him, because in the past he worked with other riders, he didn't understand that it was, for me, I mean, on my side, if you attack me that way, you're basically creating the wrong answer that you want.
Yeah.
Because I'm capable of going 120% if I need to, you know, and I have no problems with it. As a racer, I was like that, and he didn't get that knowledge, and that's something that played against him that year. But he learned from it also at the same time.
Oh man, that is crazy! I never had any idea about that.
Yeah, no, but it's you know, it's the plan that goes inside. You know, that's things that basically the general crowd don't know about it, but that's the game. You know, racing is a small world, and everything I mean, when you're in the world, you know, of the racer, everything goes. You know, today, okay, you have, you know, Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that, and some guys use pseudos to attack each other and stuff like that. But at the time, it was a little bit more direct, and that created some, you know, some fire and some stuff like that. So, you know, it's, I guess, you know, that's the way racing is all about anyway. You know, and today it still is the same thing. I mean, there's a lot of things like that who happens on a day-to-day basis from the racers that most of the crowd don't know, but afterward, if you talk to the guys, you will find out that there's a lot of things going on the backside of things.
So what did you know about Stefan Everts that no one else knew?
Well, I knew he had a weak point at 20 minutes. That's for sure. But
would people around you tell you that he was unbeatable and he was the man?
No, none of the people
not like
around
you, but was that the vibe? Was that you can't beat Stefan Everts?
I didn't care.
And you just was just like, fuck that, I can beat this dude.
Yeah, for me, it was not even a question if I could beat him or not beat him. I knew I could beat him. I mean, he spanked me in Mole, which was a sand track close to his town where he was born or was living. And that track was a beach sand, yellow, but with uphill and downhills, which in the sand is something crazy a little bit. And I came to the first practice, and Stefan was just a second in front of me. We were like 4 seconds faster than the other guys, but he was just a second faster than me. I'm like, oh, okay, you know, I know he's a good sand rider, but I mean, 1 second I can get him. And then second practice come around, and he's 4 seconds faster than me, and I'm 4 seconds again faster than the other guys.
Whoa, that's gnarly.
And I'm like, fuck, what happened? You know, I'm like, I pushed. I mean, I'm on my game. I'm running well. And then I'm like, damn, you know, today I'm going to have to settle for second. But I'm like, I was okay with that. I knew that was not going to be an easy one, but I can settle for that. Let's go for the first start. I'm like, I'm still going to try, because if he's that fast, I need to get on his tail and see what is the difference. How does he do it? He get the whole shot. I start third or something. By the time I get to second, it was first lap. He was already 12 seconds ahead.
Wow.
First lap. So I didn't see him. I'm like, okay, okay, you got it. Granted, you beat me. Let's do the second moto. I got to make sure I get right on his tail and get it. Got the second. He start first. I got second, and I could barely hold him. But he start first lap. He had 3 seconds on me, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Anyone, no problem. And I have to admit, he was unbelievable, surfing and so fast. A couple years ago, I was talking with him in England. And I'm like, we were talking about sand or something. And he's like, hey, do you remember, Mole, when I beat you so bad? It's like, definitely. He was rubbing it in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, definitely you were the best that day. No question, And he said, well, that's when I got the first Pirelli new tire, which was like with
scoop.
The scoop. Oh. It was a legal scoop with the height and everything.
Yeah.
And he said that was the difference from the first practice to the second practice.
Wow.
And I'm like...
So in your head, he just absolutely
for me, it was unbelievable
you.
In the sand. And I knew that, sand like Valkenswaard, which is hard sand, I actually won Valkenswaard in front of him. But that deep sand, he was just miles away.
He was just on a different block.
And he wasn't, and actually, there was a technical reason why.
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't know. And it's all, games like that comes in.
Yeah, that's crazy. Did you, so in a normal sand, when you're on an equal sort of stuff, you actually don't think that he was that much faster than you in the sand?
On deep sand, I'm pretty sure he was still faster than me, but not to that extreme.
What does he do different, do you think? It's just a feeling that he has with it?
I would say, he grew up in the sand. He used less effort to ride in the sand. If you look at a guy like Erlins today, he's natural on the sand. And I think to a pro racer will know how to ride in the sand even if he's not from the sand.
Yeah.
Today, you look at Tim Geiger, he's not a sand rider, but he won many times Lommel and he's been able to be there. So I think to a certain level, you're capable of adapting and to be up there on the front. Maybe not as much as a specialist like sand guys, but we don't have sand guys specialists that we used to have back in the days. Now everybody gets up there kind of a good level. And we have now the knowledge of the suspension setups and all this, will makes a big difference at the end of the day, where back in the days we didn't. So there's little details where everything is to a next level. But I definitely think, the guys from Belgium and Netherlands still have a touch of finesse that we don't have to get to that level and be as good as they are in the sand for sure. And it's like, I grew up in dirt. I didn't grow up in the sand. And they rode sand since they are on the bikes. And so they have that extra feeling that it's make them a little bit better, capable of making that difference at some point. And it's the same thing as when you say a guy is talented, is because as a kid, fairly young, he discovered the sport. He was not specially racing, but he discovered the sport, the feeling of the sport. And most likely when you get a kid who do that sport at a young age, naturally develop a talent. And there's a lot of thinking behind it from philosophers and people. You can read books about it, and most of it they say a champion is built. At least his knowledge and his the way he does things. If you, it's like if you give a kid a club of golf, he will be, and you start letting him hit when he's very small, and you let him play with it, he will be, like Tiger Woods. He will develop the sport. And it's the same thing with our sport. Dirt bikes is the same. I rode a dirt bike when I was 4, but I didn't know what I was doing. I was just riding in the prairie or whatever, and I was just discovering the sport and creating natural reaction that a kid develop. And I think a lot of sports is the same. You know, when you create that thing, it becomes natural. You don't even think about it. And to attack a sport when you're 12 or 14 is a way tougher way of making it, and a lot of hard work than when you're a young guy who just do it as a natural thing.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.